I have been watching the past 20 minutes. Great to see you, Russ, David, Dean, Bill, Jan, everyone. I'm a physicist at the National Institute of Standards and Technology in quantum materials towards quantum computing. And together with Prachi and Russ, we have been setting up, organizing this whole program, and later with a larger team of postdocs, PhDs, undergrads. So it has been a tremendous success so far. Everyone extremely engaged, extremely enthusiastic. So we hope that much more will come out of this, and soon the hackathon will start where everyone will implement their skills. As Prachi said, turn it into from start to startup. And today might be a good motivation for them to think in that way. So hope you will change their perspectives. Looking forward.
Cool. And when we come to DC, so we should have a DC get together, and we should definitely, once things open up, get a tour of Marlu's lab. It's a really great lab. So she's at NIST itself and working on, yeah, maybe Marlu, you could describe it.
Yeah, we are almost starting. It's 11 a.m. But my building at NIST was built on top of the basement, which is specifically for our dilution refrigerators, where we do vibrationless ultra-cold measurements to find and design quantum materials for new applications in quantum computing, in dissipationless electronics, and much more. Atomic scale.
I'm letting everyone in, just
great.
Everybody know.
Perfect.
Yes,
awesome.
And then today we will have the Quantum Entrepreneur panel first, and then the Hackathon challenge reveal. Very exciting day. And
I should add to my VCs as well, we also have a CEO panel. So Christopher Savoy, Richard Murray from ORCA. So a bunch of like 5 to 6 entrepreneurs that the students will speak to as well. So the other side, you have VCs, what the CEO journey look like.
It will be in August. Welcome to join.
Right. Yeah. All right, so we're getting started here. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Very nice to see you again. Today, we have an excellent panel to talk to you about the quantum journey, like you're starting right now with learning about the quantum field. And of course, you must be thinking, what's next? And do I get a job in academia? Do I stick to academia? Do I enter the corporate world? Or another option is, do I make my own company and startup and realize a vision that I have? So to talk to you more about what it is like to invest in the quantum space, what kind of funding is available in the sector, funding for what type of companies is available, and at what stage and maturity of a company. And what is an ecosystem, beyond money? Like money is actually easy to get, but beyond that, what other items will you need to make sure that your company, your vision, your ideas, your technology succeed? So to talk to you about all of that, we have an amazing set of panelists today. So I'll go in no particular order, but we have David Dorsey, who's with 11.2 Capital in Philadelphia. We have Russ Fein, he's with the Corporate Fuel Partners. Zheng with In-Q-Tel, which is a nonprofit that invests in hardware and software quantum companies. Bill Payne with Duality Accelerators and the University of Chicago. And lastly, we have Chang with the University of Maryland. So thank you all for joining us today and sharing with us students more about your journey and your investments in this domain. So would love to do first and kick off with a round of introductions. Jan, over to you.
Sure, great. Hey everyone, my name is Zheng, VP Technology at In-Q-Tel. We are a strategic investor, which means that we invest not purely on financial returns, but for strategic kind of benefit, and to benefit whom is the government. So we support national security and the intelligence agency of the United States. So my background is I have a PhD in electrical engineering, so I come at this from a kind of a tech perspective, and I actually was at DARPA for about 6 years, so doing a lot of support of those investments and research. I also spent some time on Capitol Hill as a science advisor for U.S. Senator, and found my way to In-Q-Tel, basically asking maybe some of the similar questions you all are asking, which is how do I take my kind of ideas or technical knowledge and do something not necessarily in the lab, or maybe something in business or in policy, and I want to do something more on the policy side, but while staying in tech. So I found my way to In-Q-Tel, which is, how we try to invest in companies that will benefit the United States, and our missions, while still also supporting the commercial trajectory of many interesting companies, quantum, microelectronics, and software as well. So really excited to be here, and looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Over to you, David.
Yeah, hi, I'm David Dorsey, and I'm a partner with 11-2 Capital. This is an early stage VC fund. It's a $100 million fund that's been around since 2015. And we like to invest in companies that are technologically differentiated, kind of going after large market opportunities. And typically with technical founders. Some of the companies that we've invested in since we started in 2015 are Cruise Automation, Ava, which is a LiDAR company, Ginkgo Bioworks. And more recently, like in the last 5 months, we've made investments in Hubble Network, which is a satellite communication system for IoT devices. Recently, we did a nuclear fusion investment at Princeton called Princeton Accelerators, and a lithium metal battery company out of Berkeley called Sapien. So I would say, we're not wedded to any particular vertical, but we really do like deep tech and early stage founders. Before this, I was with another fund called Osage University Partners, where I was there for 5 years, and we were investing in companies that were commercializing university IP. So I spent a lot of time kind of traveling around to different universities and meeting with professors and labs and seeing if there were opportunities for investment there. And before that, my background is largely technical. I was a lead engineer at Lockheed Martin's Advanced Technology Labs for about 7.5 years, mostly DARPA funded programs in things like electronic warfare and radar. And we actually did buy a D-Wave. I'd done some work programming a adiabatic system years ago when they first were started selling them. So I have a little bit of exposure to quantum as well. So it's great to meet you all, and I'm happy to be on the panel.
Awesome. Sorry, next we go over to Russ.
Thanks, Prachi. Hi, everybody. I'm Russ Fein with a firm called Corporate Fuel, which is a merchant bank based in New York. I'm on the West Coast in San Diego. Merchant bank meaning we do traditional investment banking, M&A advisory work, but I manage our principal investing activities. So we've got a venture fund where we've made some advanced technology investments. Sometime early in COVID, I was reading about quantum computing, and I'd always been quantum curious. And something in an article really caught my eye, and I was sort of gobsmacked. Remembering back to my days with my little Sinclair 8K computer that I bought at Radio Shack in the 80s and didn't really know what to do with, and sort of kicked myself years later when I missed the entire PC boom. And so I had a similar sort of feeling and didn't want to miss it this time. And so I've been on a journey to learn everything I can about quantum. I don't have a scientific or technical background, although I've done a lot in technology through my various portfolio investments. But I've been learning as much as I can and talking to everybody I can about quantum technology, and maintain a blog that you see in my background called quantumtech.blog, which I encourage you to check out and sign up for. Corporate Fuel, like I said, has done some advanced technologies. Now with this increased focus on quantum, we're seeking investments in the quantum space, and have looked at a number of different business plans. I've certainly looked at hundreds of business plans over my career. And so if any of you have business plans you're working on, want some feedback sort of off the record, I'm happy to provide that. So just reach out.
Awesome. Thank you, Russ. And over to you, Bill.
Hey, hello, everyone. My name is Bill Payne. I'm at the University of Chicago, and specifically within the Polsky Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And what we do, and the group that I have, is focused on science and technology commercialization. And that kind of following on from David Dorsey, we do the development of intellectual property, working with faculty members, work to license those technologies, and also work with them to set up science ventures, if that turns out to be the best path for commercialization and is the desire of the faculty member. So in that regard, with respect to the venture portion, we have a number of accelerators. One is the Compass Accelerator, which we call our baseline accelerator, focused on deep tech applications across life sciences and physical sciences, computing and quantum. And that one is a 6-month program to help to identify the business applications and also technology roadmap. We also have I-Core, and I know Dean Chang is going to talk about that. We view our accelerators, Dean, kind of as a follow-on to participation in I-Core and kind of understanding the initial market and kind of a high-level sense of what the products would be. And then we have a quantum-specific accelerator called Duality, which we've had just one cohort so far, 12-month program. And that is open to companies that are not just within the University of Chicago and its ecosystem, but really from around the world. And so we'll talk maybe a little bit more about that. My own background, I spent a number of years in leadership positions within telecommunications, Motorola and Nokia. And then my PhD training is in electrical engineering. So glad to be with you.
Great. Thank you, Will. Dean.
All right, so going last, my name is Dean Chang. I was just joking, that's my name, not my title. I get mistaken to being a dean. I like to joke that I was appointed dean by my mom, not by the provost. It's actually a lifetime appointment, and it's actually the hardest dean job out there because it's hard to appease your mother. But anyway, academia is my second career. I was at a venture-backed startup 15 years ago, or actually more than that, 20 years ago. I was a spin out of a Stanford robotics lab. It was kind of similar to Quantum in a way in that our company was focused on virtual reality. And in the early 90s, it was way ahead of its time, trying to figure out a market that was really embryonic. So kind of similar to Quantum in a way, but it was a transformative, informative experience to be involved in a startup. I'm really excited to see so many people interested in this topic. It'll pay dividends in ways you can't even imagine going forward. And so I lead a lot of our innovation entrepreneurship efforts on campus, including teaching students design thinking and lean startup to kind of take this entrepreneurial path, but not even necessarily just limited in a startup. Those innovation and creativity skills and then entrepreneurial mindset will serve you well, whether you end up at a startup, a large company, in government, at a nonprofit. So really excited to see everybody here. As far as Quantum goes, spurred by IonQ, many of you may be aware about IonQ, spurred by them going public and setting up their headquarters right next door to our campus at University of Maryland. We launched the quantum incubator called Quantum Startup Foundry in April 2021. And what's significant about April 2021, it's exactly 1 month after Bill launched their incubator, Quantum. So they were the first, I believe we were the second. And we have $10 million for quantum capital investment and $1 million annual investment fund for quantum startups. So just excited to be here. And if you can't tell already, I tell a lot of bad dad jokes, so I may tell some more, and I apologize in advance.
Thanks. We have been enjoying them so far, Dean. But you mentioned something interesting about students. So I'd love to kick off there. Is a lot of our participants are students. Some of them are industry professionals. But to the students out there, what would you tell them about as they think through their career journeys? And what is the role of a founder? What is the journey of a founder? And how do you start to become an entrepreneur from going in a program like this? And this is a question for all the panelists. Yeah. But anyone can start and jump in. Well, all right, so let's do the order then. So we'll do the Jan order. Jan, you're first. Yeah.
Sure. Let me start actually backwards, just because this monumental bill that's just passed the House and Senate and hopefully be signed by President Biden, the CHIPS and Science Bill, it includes a lot of funding for QIS, Quantum Information Sciences, right, NSF, DOE, and such. And the reason why I mentioned the importance of that is for folks, I'm sure many of you will go on to start your quantum companies, but along the way, you might also get interested in policy. I want to make a plug for getting your technical backgrounds into policymaking and into hopefully the halls of Congress. When I was there, there's not many people, most of them, that know science. Most of them, the staffers are 23, 25 years old with a humanities background, right? That have good intentions, but when you talk about, and especially in the future, quantum technologies, importance in funding innovation and sciences, they might not understand the process that you have to go through for starting, why you need to work with the private sector, or what funding lines need to be approved. And so I think just in light of this big bill, it is an interesting career and something that would help national a nation move forward if you decide to do a policy kind of job. The AAAS, which is a American Association for Advancement of Science, has a fellowship every year for PhDs in all sorts of sciences that bring people to the Hill and to different executive branches. I was one of the fellows. I was funded by IEEE. So if you want to talk about that, I'm happy to share, offline about potential career paths there. Okay, now putting on my investor hat, when I look at startup companies, especially in tech in this area, like there are a lot of young folks, but I would say that you need to have advisors that know what they're doing, especially if you're in the hard tech, the hardware side. There's a new set of software innovations in quantum that's really interesting to me, that potentially you might not need to have a PhD in quantum physics, but if you're saying that you have a new way to create a qubit, or way to manufacture it better for higher coherence, you have to back that up with data. And unfortunately right now, that means access to labs and increasingly access to foundries that's going to run your process and show me that it is a transferable process out of your lab and into TSMC, Global Foundries, somewhere that can actually be commercializable. So, there's a difference, I think, that you say, if you're a hardware side, bottom up, or if you're on the software side coming down, it really means surrounding yourself with the right folks. It's a team effort. I'll just stop there.
Yeah, I'll just jump in to talk about some of the other trajectories I've seen. At the previous fund, Osage, we were investors in IonQ and Quantum Circuits, which is out of Yale. So we've seen the progression from academia into creating a hardware company, a hardware startup. And I would say usually the way these trends go in deep tech is they kind of start in academia and in national labs, and then eventually you start to see them broaden out into industry. I think we're at the point now where there's probably a lot of opportunities for people to not only go directly from academia into, maybe being an entrepreneur, but maybe take a step along the way and to, take a position at one of the industrial, at one of the industry companies. There's very well-funded startups that you can get experience. There's IBM and Microsoft and Google, of course, as well, and Honeywell. So I think there's a lot of ways to get some industry experience, build up a network as well. And then, to the other point, that's for the sort of hardcore, if you want to make a new quantum computer hardware, like Jan's referring to. And then there's also, which Jan also alluded to, a lot of startups that are kind of making more of a software layer that is application specific. And I think in that case, there's even more trajectories to get into quantum, because you could be coming from a completely different domain like life science or security, and partner with people who are doing interesting work at one of these academic labs or one of these industry companies in industry, and you can spin off another company that's targeting a particular use case. So I just feel like there's a lot of trajectories now to get into the quantum business.
And maybe I'll talk within the university and kind of progression, from concept to startup of a company. Our first encounter with faculty or trainee or grad student is if an idea comes up that is patentable, and hopefully the faculty, the PI, the principal investigator, knows enough about the process to be able to guide the activity to come to our office. So once we begin to work on it, then we look at really how are we going to really commercialize this? What is the path towards commercialization? And in quantum, the industry and technology is so leading edge at this point that you don't have really established players like we have in pharma. We design a new therapeutic or new molecular structure. There's already an infrastructure, big pharma infrastructure for pulling that. In many cases now, where the path towards commercialization is through smaller companies until the industry itself gets more established. And so once we find that there's willingness to potentially go down this path and pursue a startup company and founding. And we have the advantage of our center at the University of Chicago has a branch that is linked to Chicago Booth, which is the business school. So we, connect the faculty, students that are in this venture, up with, business school members who help to establish the business case and help to formulate the plan, help to put the pitch deck together. And then we go through, a number of steps to refine it. So I think there's, a lot that is required. Then the accelerator portion of it, I should mention, an incubator portion, is that at this point in the life of quantum, you need, if you're working on hardware and qubits and defining hardware for doing that level of computing, that type of computing, then you need a lot of laboratory and expensive equipment. And fortunately, within Chicago, we have the national laboratories and some of the laboratories that within the University of Chicago to help there. So there's software-wise, as Jan was saying, that's maybe a little bit different, and that is a growing area as well. How do you build good software that can be translated to run very efficiently on quantum platforms? That doesn't require as much capital, but there's a whole set of things from knowledge, getting a business side plus the technical side that is all needs to be mixed together in order to move this along.
Indeed.
Absolutely. If I could just build on that. So Jan kind of talked about hardware versus software. Bill talked about industry verticals like pharma. Just to build on what Bill just said about how there's so many different things you need to know. As far as the journey of a founder, I'll just say that not everyone is going to be or should be a founder, and that's okay. And in fact, there are many roles in addition to founder that are all critical. So even the word founder, at my company, there was a principal founder and there were two co-founders, and there was a difference. The principal founder was the one who had the original vision, and really at the end of the day was the lead champion. I actually was the first non-founding employee, so I was employee number 4. So technically, I wasn't a founder. I was the first hire, but the learning and experiences are all priceless in all those roles, even after me. And you learn so much that better prepares you. If you're not ready to make the leap as the principal founder now, or maybe you don't have the right idea or invention that you feel confident enough or that you feel passionate enough that that's what I want to start my company around, then I would say find somebody who's already in one of those roles. It could be the principal founder, it could be a co-founder, it could be one of those first 10 employees. Latch onto them, spend as much time as you can with them, shadow them, work for them, soak up as much as you can, because then you'll gain some of those things that Bill's alluding to, that there's like so much that you don't even know that you need to know. And then at some point you'll gain that right combination of experience, the right network of contacts, the right technology solution that you're excited to start a company around, and then you can make that leap to be a founder. So I just kind of look at it more from the stages, in addition to the verticals or hardware, software, and other ways you can think about the path of a founder.
That's really interesting point you raised, Dean, because I think a lot of people think of Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates and dropping out of college. And I think it seems both you and David have both mentioned about, I think the average age of an entrepreneur is 40 years old on average. So you're really talking of getting experience as well, exposure to field, and building that network of contacts as well as experience beforehand. So can you tell us a little bit more about what resources are available to entrepreneurs who are thinking of starting a quantum company? And a lot of you have touched on it already in terms of funding and then the accelerators, but just additionally, what resources should they be looking out for and building a network for when they look to start a company?
Prachi, I have some thoughts on that, and sort of bridging from the prior question. A lot of people think, you sort of read about Steve Jobs, famously dropped out of college and started Apple and figure I'm going to do that. And sure, that can happen. But more often than not, this is a much more difficult journey than you might anticipate. There's really two facets of risk that investors will look at. One is the technology itself, and many people focus just on that. But the business risk, the execution risk, is maybe more important. And so if you don't have any business experience, no matter how great your idea is, it might be hard to get an institutional venture investor involved. So, people mention things like having the right mentors or advisors or other people that you can pull in to help sort of fill in some of the blanks on experience. But going to a big venture firm or going public are really not the only paths to funding or to an entrepreneurial life. There's family offices that specialize in certain niches, and so they're hard to find, but there are a lot of them, and a lot of them are trying to make direct investments. There are angel groups and angel consortiums that have semi-formal processes to pitch to and may be interesting. There's always friends and family. That's how many entrepreneurs start, is they get some funding from their friends and family who they show passion to, who help them get started. So there are many paths to eventually getting venture funding, and I encourage people to explore, any and all of those.
Fantastic. And then what are the resources beyond the venture capital as well, that as you start your journey in making a company, what other resources should you start looking out for, contacts to develop that a quantum founder will need?
Well, I'll just build on what Russ said. This isn't exactly the answer, like here's the recipe for that, but building on what Russ said, so I'll make a plug for things like the SBIR program, the Small Business Innovation Research Grants, and they differ slightly from agency to agency, but I'll talk about the ones from the National Science Foundation. But if you apply for that, you get couple $100,000 as sort of a phase one to sort of show that your technology might do what you think it might do. And if you show that it does that, then you can get a phase two, which is now like 750,000 or something like that. But basically, you can get up to about $1 million to move your hopeful company along from a technology standpoint, which is great because it's not an investment, it's an outright grant. Your only deliverable is an annual report to the National Science Foundation. And investors love that too, because you've spent $1 million removing some of that risk before they have to put their money in. And the other reason I'll make a plug for this program is that in recent years, the National Science Foundation has now required anybody who gets one of those grants to spend about a month doing some of this customer discovery to learn more about the business model of your technology. And so you can be more informed at the end of this SBIR development process when you meet with investors to say, here's what I've learned about what our business model might be, what our value proposition might be, who are our first customers. So not only they give you money for technology development, but they also offer a free program to help you answer some of those questions if you don't know what you need to know or what you need to have done.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. I think like all of these are really good resources, and I also think it's important to think about like what kind of company you think you're building. I think sometimes people forget, like, not every company really is a good fit for venture capital investment. I mean, those are companies that need to operate at massive losses before they get into exponential revenue growth, like, a true hockey stick. And you can build a really good company that grows linearly and gradually, and it's a wonderful business, and you'll make a lot of money. And it's just not a fit for venture capital. And if that's the case, like that's not a bad thing. It's just you'll waste your time talking with venture capitalists. If you're a company that's selling components with a really healthy margins, and you can build that over time, build the business over time, like that's a great opportunity. And so I often want to tell people, like, it's important to kind of just understand what your trajectory is and really be realistic about what your outcomes are going to be. Is this a company that's going to go public or be acquired for hundreds of millions and billions of dollars? Or is it something that's going to grow gradually and create value over time? So I think it's really important to be honest with yourself about that.
Great,
I guess maybe just add, because we talked to a lot of companies that they talk to us because they want to get into government. We're really clear that the government customer is a different beast than the commercial customer, right? Government's fickle. They could give you a big contract or never at all, or it could take 5 years to get that contract, and your runway only lasts 6 months, right? So we have always said, look, let's just focus. You're primarily on the commercial sector. Find those customers, find those problems and solutions. Government's great for giving you grants to buy down the risk. I like that as well. But if your company is completely focused on just solving like NSA's problem or the DoD's problem, right? You might need to reevaluate the how you're structuring the company to be able to do that, right? That is a different type of business, like David mentioned.
Yeah.
Right. So you all see a lot of companies, and you've accepted some to give them funding or to be part of your accelerator program, part of your incubators. What differentiates good companies from bad companies? Or what makes you say yes to a team and a product, and what makes you say no?
I mean, I could start here, just kind of give like the high level view from the VC's point of view. Like fundamentally, the VC rubric for Quantum is similar to almost every other business that we look at, which is team, product, market. And we want smart, humble founders that are willing to surround themselves with people who are smarter than they are, to sell a vision to potential customers, investors, and recruits. Like the thing that the founder has to be is someone who is charismatic enough to be able to recruit the best talent, to not run out of money. So they have to be able to tell investors like a really good story. These are all really important skills. And then, second, there's going to be a lot of product evaluation. And so when we're talking about this kind of frontier technology, there has to be people on the team that are credible. Like they have the science background, the technical background, to be able to speak with some authority that this is something that they can actually do. That's not usually the hardest part. Like, usually, their credentials kind of speak for themselves. It's easy to they usually will have publications. The hard part is actually determining whether or not like these are people who are committed for the long run and willing to do whatever it takes, because it's always going to be much, much harder than what you think. And the other hard part, and this I think is kind of specific to Quantum, is trying to have some confidence in the market, in the TAM itself. With quantum computing, like, one of the things that's sort of unique about quantum computing is the fact that it's not clear. Like we actually think they might create value that we have not thought of yet. And that leaves a little bit of uncertainty about like what the actual size of the market is. And so that it actually ends up being one of the toughest parts here. But I would say if the team is very strong, if they have technical credibility to be, that we can believe they'll accomplish what they say they can accomplish. And if they can tell a story about how they're going to create business value in the future, then I think that that's something that we take a look closely at. Ones that we don't take a look at closely in this space, usually it's because the TAM that they're addressing, the one that they've identified and they're telling you a story about, isn't really sufficient for venture returns. It's because they're fundamentally, a services company or a hardware components company that doesn't look like you can ever reach a large enough TAM. So the knockouts for me usually are the team complexion and composition and the TAM itself, like uncertainties about the TAM. It's ironically, it's not because of the technological questions, because we can usually answer those, right?
Yeah, David, good point. I can't reiterate enough how important the team is. I'd much rather back an A team with a B idea than a B team with an A idea. It's really important. It's hard to articulate. It's hard to sort of lay out exactly what that means. It's somewhat chemistry. It's somewhat fit. The team is really important. And the other thing is just a little bit of a non sequitur, but somewhat related. A lot of times people think that getting a venture investor is, the big payday or the big win. And certainly if your long-term vision is you want to build a company and you need some great people on your team and some resources, that's true. But that's not going to be a great payday. Entrepreneurs usually have to get by on pretty minimal salaries. Most of the money is going to be earmarked towards investing in the business, not in people's lifestyles. So just wanted to kind of put that little bit of sobering, sprinkle some sobering thoughts on top of this as well.
So I did my startup, kind of later in my career, and so looked at it from the side, the two previous speakers looking at it from that side, and selling the business to some folks, including the advisor. So that we were established coming out of industry and had worked in the field for a while. So that was that was an example of something that was started with people that were more downstream, but upstream, within the university, which is where my focus is now. Yes, we look at it based on my experience. We try to make sure that companies and these ventures that are coming through are that we give them a lot of exposure to people from the industry for advising or potentially, being part of the company, in order to help pull it along and give it some mature management. We also, as I mentioned, have students, graduate business students that help in the business plan development. And then, one other thing that we look at, and we're learning, we'll see over time whether this applies to quantum. It certainly applies to some of the other areas from within the University of Chicago. But we tend to think that companies will be more successful, startups will be more successful if they have some exclusivity with respect to the technology itself. So have an exclusive license, based on, patent that has been developed, gives them some, differentiation, and, hopefully will put them in a better position competitively.
Go ahead, Dean or Jan.
I'll add a little bit. I mean, it's along the same kind of themes of like, if you've got a vision and a path and you're a good match for the venture route, that's great, and you should go for that. But that's not the only path, and there's some circuitous paths where you explore other paths, and then later on you might kind of, where you started off not being maybe aligned well with the venture path, you might end up later on in a path like, oh wow, we do actually have this great growth opportunity in this what we thought was adjacent market and whatever. So I would definitely explore those other paths, and it's important to just find out. When we tend to think of investors perhaps as just being all the same, but they're very, very different. You have to understand what their motivation is. I mean, for Bill and myself, I think, I don't know for sure, but at least for us, our investment fund is very, very different. It's not a VC fund at all. First of all, it's 1,000 times smaller, if not more than that. But also, it's about economic development. It's trying to better prepare our students. We want to give them real world experiences working at startups. So, with IonQ right in our backyard and a growing number of startups there, we want to provide more of our students internships, year-round experiences, jobs working at these startups. And so that's one of the motivations of our investment fund, is to give some runway for some of these quantum startups. Regardless of whether they succeed or fail, our students are going to be better prepared, whether they want to become founders of their own company or they want to go work in quantum industry and so on. So do your research about what the purpose of the fund is, and usually people will be pretty upfront about this is what we want to invest in and why and what we're looking for. It's not to say we're not looking for ROI as well. I mean, it's we tell our startups, don't try to have too many goals, and we're violating that ourselves by both trying to have some ROI but also economic development. But that's a different conversation. But I'd just say there are a lot of funding opportunities, and also I would add that try to put yourself in a community of people that are also working in quantum. It doesn't have to be the same area. You might view them as competitive, or maybe they're complementary. But in the end, even if they're direct competitors, it's so much. It's really valuable in terms of spurring the speed of your innovations, to be hearing what other people are doing. Like, oh my gosh, they did so and so, and like, it also besides just motivation, just there becomes this informal flow of ideas, building off of each other. If I could diverge just for a sec, I read this book called How We Got to Now, which is really, really fantastic about different innovations. And it was talking about innovations in glass making, that there used to be all these glass makers in Venice, but their furnaces were so hot, they would sometimes catch fire and all the buildings made of wood would burn down. So they decreed, like, no more glass makers in Venice. You all move to the small island Murano across the channel there, because then at least if things burn down, it's just that small island and don't burn down all of Venice. But one of the unintended consequences of banishing all the glass makers of Murano, they were in high concentration all next to each other. And just their level of glassmaking ability just went up so much faster, because they were seeing what their neighbors were doing and they were borrowing ideas and building each other. So don't live in a vacuum. Sometimes it's easy to say, I want to stay in stealth mode. I don't want other people to know what I'm doing. And of course, there's some importance of confidentiality and intellectual property, as Bill was talking, we want to protect that. But if you don't really know what everybody else is doing on a daily basis, I think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Maybe one add-on Dean reminded me. That's a great story, Dean. So that's a good one. But in the case of our innovation fund, which is smaller than probably what the kind of the VCs work with, ours is cohort driven, so it is different than a normal fund. So it's a competition with teams over the same period of time. And then the other one thing that we've done is for us to release the funds to the winners, we require that they get matching funds from institutional investors. So that's to try to make sure that when we give them the money, that there's some pull from outside of the university in order to help move it along.
Yeah, and any thoughts on you on why you say yes to a company, or what looks like a successful company? And of course, I think time will tell what really are successful companies. What makes you say yes to a company? Okay.
I think Dave and Russ said it well, from the investor side. And I do want to get to the students' questions, but I would just add maybe quickly, just because we are on the national security strategic side, one thing that would make me pause, even if maybe the team is just not right, or they're still maybe too early, is if there is a kind of immediate impact on national security that I think is there. So, but maybe just a step back, that is just because there are different types of investors, right? There are strategics, there are corporates, there are financials, so they all have different theses, right? And we all follow what those theses are. And so you have, if you're an entrepreneur, you also have to know who you're talking to and what motivates, them to give out money.
Perfect. That makes a lot of sense. So yes, students, please put your questions in. I see a lot of them coming in. So students are placing questions on the Discord channel, and then I'll be moderating and bringing some of the questions here. One question we have from David, and this is something we chatted earlier about as well. So David, he's an American student, and asks, customer discovery and market fit are something that's extremely important, but it's something that we are least good at. What would you recommend as a process and path there?
So for customer discovery is always challenging. And so I would say at a high level, I've given short talks on this before, I think it's really important to build a process and do things like create a list of questions. Don't go to people and tell them about your solution or what you can do. Go to people and find out what their problem is, and make sure that you're asking questions about their problem. This goes back to even what Dean was talking about a little bit about being around other people who are doing the same thing as you. It's also being around other people who have different problems that you might be able to solve. And, some of the quantum startups that I see that come out of Boston, for example, are directed toward life science. Why? Because there's the Broad Institute, and there's a lot of other, there's a lot of life science companies. If you get around people who have really hard problems to solve in big markets, you actually might find stuff that you can solve with your technology that maybe you never put the pieces together. So for customer discovery, I think the most important thing is you are not trying to find out if someone's going to buy your product or use your technology. You're trying to find the top 5 things that keep them up at night. And I think it's worth having as many of those conversations as possible, and maybe only a small fraction, 10% of those are actually going to be a good fit for what you think you're going to offer. But I think that's the most valuable thing. Ask the same questions to everybody and compile them in a data-driven way, look at statistics, see if a problem that you can solve ranks anywhere in the top 5. What's the cohort where it does rank? And just the way you ask the questions, the way you set up the calls, make sure it's a one-on-one, it's not a group conversation, take diligent notes, go back, look at it and see, have we identified a problem that many people have that we could actually solve? Just remember that customer discovery is not a pitch call. It is a customer discovery problem call. You are really trying to find out what customers' problems are. I always think one of the best things that industry can do to help accelerate entrepreneurialism out of academia when I did this is to just go and tell people what their top 5 problems are. I wish CIOs could just have like a monthly call where they just say like, look, I haven't slept this week. Here's the 3 things that are keeping me up at night. And like, I think that that's the most effective way to really make decisions about like what your business should do. So don't go into the process thinking that you know what your product already is. Go in there with the expectation that it's going to be something different than what you initially planned. Ask questions about their problems, not talk about your solution. It's really important.
That's really great feedback. I can certainly second that. Yeah, I can certainly second that as well, of understanding where the problems are, because I invest and have worked in the transport sector. And one big problem is a lot of people have lived through transportation. They take the metro or they drive a car and they think they can innovate around it. But when you ask a CIO of the Department of Transport and say, what are your problems? They're actually very different than what the startup founder may have. And another question, and this is really for Bill, for you as well. A lot of our students right now, they're very early stages. They're wrapping up their PhDs. They're the early stages of development of maybe any company that they may have. So can you share of how one rises through research one may be doing at a lab, and how you then get that into something that's more commercially viable, and that someone like Bill and Dean would invest in and support, and then afterwards they can go to VC funding for as well. What does that journey and step look like?
So generally, I'll make a couple of statements here. One, as David was mentioning, you'd like to get input from the industry as to what the problem statements are out there, and we work with faculty and students to engage with corporations, and we do what are called industry sprints. This is my office working with faculty, industry sprints. And what those are is that we, gather up several PIs that can potentially work on multiple aspects of a problem that the industry is addressing. And then we go to different corporations in order to, try to understand whether or not we, number one, understand the problem, get their input, but also it gives the faculty members an indication of what's important. And so, and as students, hopefully that will be part of that process. You'll, understand what kind of market opportunities and what the industry is interested in. And then that can lead to potentially even some sponsored research. We haven't talked about this, but sometimes corporations will sponsor specific research, within the university. And that gives an interest and a potential pull. And there's IP, intellectual property, that potentially is developed there, which may or may not complicate things. And then take advantage of programs. Dean both have I-Core, which is for faculty and students to do this customer discovery more formally. And then, some of these accelerator programs as well.
Dean, do you second that?
I do. I'm gonna hold my response for a moment. I was gonna maybe take it a different direction, so I'll hold for a moment so I don't cause this to veer off in a tangent.
Feel free, because if you have something to add, else I go to the next question. So,
well, I was just going to say that I warned I'm going off on a slight topic or divergent. So I thought I'd just note that it's interesting that we've got no women panelists here, yes. I just wanted to comment that. I think there are a growing number of ways to find both support and funding for women, for underrepresented minority groups. Encourage you to check out things like ifundwomen.com. There are entrepreneurship support and advice and mentorship groups like Luminary is one, Springboard's another. I was really excited that a student that I used to advise, she started this hackathon called Technica, and it's become the world's largest all-women and non-binary hackathon. And it's entirely organized by students, which is phenomenal. And we have a quantum track at our hackathons. So just more inviting and inclusive and additional ways for people to get plugged in, because it is a hard road already just be an entrepreneur. And then if you don't see a lot of people that necessarily look like you or that make you feel like you can be there too, there are resources out there.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. This is something definitely within Womanium as well, we've talked about and thought of. For this program itself, we've made a lot of effort to have female speakers. And then the VC industry, that's quite the journey as well. I think less than 2% of all investors are women. So there's a long journey for us to make in closing that gender gap as well. But thanks for pointing that out. And hopefully, I think learning from all of your experience as well, students will be interested in not only becoming an entrepreneur, but also becoming an investor, because the breadth of companies you see, the ideas you see as well. And then of course, I think that's actually the most fun part of being a VC, is being exposed to a multitude of ideas and innovations and learning what's going to come in the next 10, 15 years, even before it's here, even before it's in the market. So would encourage all of you to consider that as a career path. I have a few more questions before we wrap up. Just really quickly, how do you predict how a company will succeed and fail, especially because so much of the quantum is unknown? So where does this foresight come from when you have no past data to build on?
I can jump in, Prachi. A lot of times entrepreneurs or early stage companies or venture-backed companies, they're not going to get the funding for their entire journey. They're going to get funding for some interim step. And so I think it's a little bit of a sort of a soft set of skills and attributes, but knowing that when the money is going to run out, that the people involved are nimble and creative and energetic and well-connected, so can pivot in any direction they have to, is an important feature. If it's just a one-time bet and you think you have a new qubit and you're going to try to build a prototype and that doesn't work, sometimes that's a difficult journey. But if the team has adaptability and there's ways they can move with the times, with the technologies, with the capital markets, that's going to be an important aspect to have as part of the feature set.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say right now, because there's a lot of folks in this field. What I'm looking for are kind of what is your advantage over your competitors, and what I mean by that is I think there's enough investors now. We know what a qubit is. In the past, we didn't, right? But I'm getting companies now that are saying like, it's not just the qubit. I have a way to manufacture this better, right? And then I hear my advisors, here are my connections to the leading fabs that allow me to manufacture that. It's the same qubit as probably what some of the other competitors are doing, but I'm focusing on this one little thing. And so that allows me to narrow down, okay, this is what you're going to do. And here's the milestones you're going to accomplish. And so, I think that is a thing that it also helps, right? What are you bringing to the table that's kind of unique now? And if you're talking investors, you're going to have to be more specific, not just, is this going to be a quantum computer in 5, 10, 20 years, right?
Right. So very defined milestones. Another question we have, so we have students from 44 different countries in this program, and students are really coming from around the world. So the question here is, do you fund companies in developing countries or middle-income countries, basically, especially countries that don't have their own quantum ecosystem? And what are the risks that keeps investors from investing in countries and startups there?
Well, I would say we don't have geographical constraints. I would say that the other part of the question here, which is you don't have a quantum ecosystem, is actually the part that is the concern. And so I think that, as we were saying before, it's really important to try to get to a place where there is a concentration of talent and abilities and advisors and use cases and things like that. I think a lot of these programs do fund relocation. Accelerators, I think, will bring students from other countries, either stateside or in Canada or in the UK, and there's plenty of amazing quantum centers of excellence around the world, not just in the United States. And I said, like, my recommendation is to kind of look for accelerators where you can start to, incubate within a quantum a quantum community and start to build the network, the infrastructure, the knowledge base that you're going to need, because it's just very hard to do it in a place where there's not a lot of resources.
At that point, our Duality accelerator, we require the companies to move to Chicago to be part of the ecosystem, to be part of the clustering of companies going through the cohort at the same time, physically together.
I should also mention, but I was a occasional mentor in cohort 1 for Duality. It is a great program. So like, just make a plug for the program. It's excellent. Yeah.
So we have invested in internationally. So I have UK, Canadian, Australian companies and US in my portfolio. But I would point out those are all strong centers, right, in Western countries that can afford to do this. So I think the question is very important. So I'll make a plug for the Unitary Fund, which is I'm on board of. This is started by Zheng, formerly from Rigetti. And the idea is these are micro grants. So if you guys have not heard of this, look up Unitary Fund. If you're a grad student, perfect place for you to come in. We're funding them to do a project called Metric, metriq.com. The idea is, how do we benchmark quantum computers? We eventually want to get to the point where we say, I have this workload. I want to know what is the best quantum computer to run this workload in the best time, right? I don't quite care what quantum computer I'm using. There's enough resources out there that you shouldn't worry about the hardware. And you can probably work on the application layer, which is, back to the earlier question that, I think David, Russ, and we all did talk about, where the customers come in. And so that is a great, program to, small micro grants for you to start getting into the field. We've had our first entry from South Africa that is going to get a grant to work on error correction. So a lot of folks from, other countries in France and Spain, other parts in Europe, Eastern Europe, that I think there are a lot of opportunities right there, and I think if from the software side, that's probably where I think I will see a lot more entrance from areas that are not from excellence, some so-called centers of excellence, because you don't necessarily need to have a hardware resource now. You can perhaps go to Bracket or Azure to get that.
I'll just add real quickly that let's go back to what we've all talked about a little bit before about what's the motivation of different programs. And so for like Bill and myself, we're at universities, we're about training students, workforce development, preparing them to enter the workforce and have skills, and creating jobs in our local economies, and hopefully some return. Whereas other investment funds, it's about the return on investment. And then you factor in things like the US government's made quantum such a priority, and you've got all these federal agencies that are helping shoulder the load of developing this technology. So, when I wouldn't ask so much the question of where investments are happening, although it's interesting to look at, but why are investments happening, and do you align with the core goals and mission of why that's happening wherever it is, so try to find a place where what you're doing matches with whatever the investment goals of the fund, of the region, of whatever else.
Awesome. Thanks, Dean. And Jan, great point as well. In fact, we will have Misty Wall from Unitary Fund come and give a talk later in the program. So this is great to hear. So one last question. We're near the end of time, and I'd love to end with, where do you see the quantum field growing? What kind of innovation are you not seeing? And what are you excited to invest in the next 2 to 3 years? So, but very briefly, like, what excites you? What kind of startups are you looking to see in this space?
So I think, Jan alluded to this a little bit. Like I've actually started to look for a little further up the stack in applications. And so like for me, like I'm looking at companies that are have a specific domain that they're targeting. And very often I expect these businesses to look like pitches coming from a life science company or security company, and not even necessarily sound like a quantum company. They're going to be enabled by quantum to do something special and leapfrog competition in legacy domains.
Awesome.
Yeah, Prachi, I think although there'll be more qubits and qubits sort of get a lot of the headlines, that's a tough space that's going to take a lot of money. I'm more excited lately in all of the ecosystem, in the controllers, the vacuums, the cryogenics, the wirings. I think there's a lot of opportunity to sell the picks and shovels to the other quantum companies. And I'm seeing some interesting opportunities in that space. And so encourage people to not only focus on qubits, there's lots of ways to make a splash in this industry.
Perfect. Well, both Blue Force and Mabel are friends of the program, so I'm happy to make introductions there. Sorry, go ahead, Jan. Yeah.
I agree. We are talking to Corbin at Mabel. We've closing an investment in a quantum memory company for quantum communications. We're closing an investment in a sensor company. So, Russ is right. I think there's a lot of spillover technologies that are more near term, right? We're interested in communications, cryptography. There's a lot of PQC coming out, right? With a new national initiative saying the US government shall have PQC. A lot of companies talking to me, like, because of the government side, how do I get NSA and other parts of the government to bless my PQC, technology, especially since NIST has now talked about what are the, basically it showed which algorithms to use. So that's going to be an area that I think you see a lot of explosion on the cybersecurity side that we are actively investing in.
Amazing. All exciting things. Go ahead. Bill, Dean, anything that excites you in the next 2 to 3 years, the horizon?
Well, we're doing the basic research, within the university, right? In, communication, sensing, computing, and also, manufacturability and then software simulation of devices. How do you build these devices and, have the computer aided capability to get it done? How do you measure or simulate the performance? And software stacks that run efficiently, as I mentioned.
Yeah, similarly, just because we're starting with the research that's happening in our labs, not just at University of Maryland, but at other universities as part of our Mid-Atlantic I-Core hub. The riskiest technologies that, this could work, but we have no idea, but if it did work, it could have a really big impact. We're in a better position to kind of facilitate further development of those kinds of things. Last investment we made was a small investment in a company trying to do a quantum error correcting chip in a better way. So kind of more that hardware basic science level. That's what we typically are investing in.
Fantastic. All exciting things. Thank you all for taking the time today, sharing your expertise, your experience, and your knowledge. And I hope you've inspired a whole next generation of quantum starters and founders that will come knocking to your door in a few years' time. So thank you again for joining today. Great to learn of your experience.
Thank you all. Prachi, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah. Everyone.
Bye now.
Bye all. Okay.
This was a wonderful session. Thank you so much. And it will make a perfect bridge to the next part of our program. The Global Quantum Computing and Entrepreneurship Program was started as 2 parts. The first part, Quantum Training Program. The past weeks and the upcoming weeks, you were absorbing new knowledge, developing new skills. And soon, the second part will start, at least as important, maybe even more important, applying those skills, developing your own ideas, applying your creativity and your knowledge. We want that to be in the full breadth of the quantum computing domain. So we developed a hackathon for you, not with just 2 challenges to pick from, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6. The hackathon team is here and will tell you much more about it. Jyoti, welcome. Please display your slides. Vardhan is here. I see Prachi wants to say something.
Perfect. Yeah, I do want to say something. So again, this is the quantum computing program and entrepreneurship. And entrepreneurship really, as I think David mentioned, which I really resonate with, is problem solving, right? What are problems of the world? What are problems of different industries or companies that I can help solve? So this is why the hackathon is really a great step for you to start thinking about problem solving and applying. Look, there's money, there's resources all available in the market for you, but it's that way of thinking, which, as you heard as well, that teams are most important and the way you approach problems is most important. So this is where we want to make sure that you're thinking in the right direction and thinking with the right kind of problem solving skills. And this is where Jyoti and Vardhan are 2 of the most important members, along with actually there are a few amazing members of the team. So there's Emily Park as well, who's here. I'm not sure if she can share her video, but I'd love for all of them to introduce themselves? Perfect. Because this team has been working tirelessly for the last 3 months to put together an amazing hackathon for you. A great set of prizes, an amazing demo day as well. So really kudos to them. They've put a lot of hard work. Every day you're seeing Malwa and I, but I do want to put the spotlight on Jyoti, on Vardhan, and the whole hackathon team that have been doing an amazing job. So Jyoti, over to you for introductions to the team.
Yes, thank you so much, Prachi. And of course, the rest of the Womanium team has been critical in making the hackathon possible. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the really quick intros for the wonderful members of the hack team that have put the hackathon together. Vardhan, would you please take it away?
Hi everyone, my name is Vardhan Saibu. I'm currently pursuing my master's in physics. I'm from India, and I am recently working as a quantum developer and a quantum research intern at TCU. That's me.
Awesome. Hi everyone, my name is Jyoti Rani. I am currently an undergrad at UC Berkeley, studying engineering and business. I'm also an intern at INQ this summer, which has been very, very exciting. And so Vardhan and I are the two members who will be sharing the full intro. Other than that, as Prachi mentioned, other hackathon team members that have been critical in contributions have been Emily, Sanskriti, and Jade, who are not being able to join the session live today.
Jade is joining question now. So
yeah, and I think Emily's there as well. If you both like to introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah, of course.
First, Jade.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Jade, and I've been on the hack team this summer, and I've been focusing primarily on connecting companies with the hackathon challenges that we're doing. And I'm really excited to see how these 2 weeks are going to go. I hope you guys have a great experience with our hackathon. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with.
Emily can't use audio at the moment due to various reasons. Jyoti, can you please introduce Emily?
Yes, of course. So Emily is also an undergrad at UC Berkeley, and she has been critical in helping us obtain the wonderful challenges that we will reveal very, very soon from all the companies. She is on the track to be studying computer science at Berkeley. She's also my good friend and roommate. And we are all very excited as a team to bring together these challenges to present. Alrighty. And that should be everybody. Okay, so moving on. We are very excited to welcome you to this official introduction for the Womanium Global Hackathon. There have been numerous inquiries from all of you about the hackathon. The hack team has been working very hard behind the scenes. So today from this session, you can expect to take away, the reveal about the challenges that you will be tackling, the criteria that you're working towards, and of course, the rewards at the end of the journey. So the past few weeks, you've been working to solidify a very solid foundation in quantum computing knowledge. And the idea is to really see the hackathon as an opportunity, as a challenge to put those quantum skills to the test against real world problems. So before I go any further, though, I would like for all of you to take a quick minute to put in the Discord live session chat a cool quantum problem that you've heard of during this program that you've thought that would be something really cool to work on. That's a problem I'd love to solve, just to kind of get the brain juice flowing, get into the problem solving mindset. I'll give you guys just about a minute and let's see what starts to come in. All right, first one we have is Monte Carlo simulation. Very, that makes me very happy as a CS person. All right, so yeah, definitely keep them coming. PDE solutions, simulating penicillin, entanglement in photonic qubits, traveling salesman's problem. Wow, this is incredible. Right, we are definitely going to revisit these in just a second here. So, one of the really critical themes of the Womanium hackathon specifically is a real focus on real world applications. And so to make that possible, we have collaborated with all these incredible companies from Deloitte, IQM, Quantinuum, IBM, Strangeworks, ORCA Computing, QWorld, to bring to you an incredible diversity in challenges, both in terms of topics and in challenge level, so that it's we have a range that is friendly to beginners and to intermediate and advanced folks in quantum. So let's dive right in and spotlight a couple of the challenges that you will be seeing in the hackathon. So for those of you who are interested in climate and CO2 emissions, Deloitte is presenting a green supermarket challenge where the goal is to analyze how quantum technology can optimize the energy consumption model of supermarkets in regards to its CO2 emissions. Something that is really critical and exciting about Deloitte's challenge specifically is there is both a technical component to it and a business component to it. And so this is one of the perfect examples to really illustrate this idea where we really want all of you to be thinking about the users and the end case application that your code will be applied for at the end of the day. And then we have from a wonderful individual here, Herman, a challenge end-to-end quantum simulation of space telescopes. So for all of those folks interested in space, I just, this challenge is perfect to show how fun they are. We have Elon Musk, aliens, and Mars mentioned in just the first 3 sentences here. And I really love this challenge, when I was reading it, and I'm sure if Alien Mars and Elon Musk are interesting to you at all, this will be an exciting one for those of you as well. And then we have challenges like the one by ORCA, random number generation using boson sampling. This is a challenge and a solution that is very, very widely applicable across multiple sectors and applications. And so it's very dynamic, and we have challenges of this variety as well. So the entire program, the hackathon component, the education component, all of these speakers have been formulated to really, really encourage that one mentality, which is from start to startup. So for all of you who just got started in quantum, we really want to support you in every way possible. So one day you are, creating and founding startups that are solving these real world problems as we saw a couple examples of. And so we wanted to give you the creative freedom and space. A lot of these topics that you guys are mentioning, electronic structured materials, we have a quantum chemistry challenge. Cognitive algorithms by quantum computing, we have a natural language processing challenge. A lot of what you guys are interested in has been built into the challenges presented by numerous of these companies. But in case it hasn't, the Womanium team is also giving you the space to propose a challenge of your own. So really, you're able to apply your skills to create whatever solution you have been imagining in your head, whatever project you'd like to tinker with. There are, of course, a few of you who are always looking to get out of Schrodinger's poison-filled box. So we want to make sure we accommodate everybody. Awesome. So, of course, a big thanks to, all these partners, the mentors, the Womanium team, and the Hack team specifically. We are all here to support you in your journey as you will be innovating and inventing for about a 2.5-week hacking period, which we will get into soon. And I would just like to take a moment to really emphasize that this is an opportunity for you to either build or add to a concrete portfolio of your technical and business skills within quantum, because these are all incredible companies within the quantum ecosystem and space that you may be working for one day and innovating there. And that journey starts today. As you have probably heard, we have an upcoming career fair as well. So this is a really, really great opportunity to put it in paper, to build the GitHub repository, so you have a really strong tool to go to really showcase yourself. The very, very last thing that I will talk about briefly before handing it off to Verdun is prizes. So after you spend your 2.5 weeks, innovating, building, tinkering, reiterating, and engineering, we know all of you are very, very awesome, and we're excited to share that we have $10,000 in cash prizes cumulatively that will be rewarded at the very end on after demo day. So this was a little bit about just a taste of the big picture, the exciting challenges, and the exciting rewards and motivations and inspirations. Now I will be handing it off to Vardhan, and he will be diving into the logistics, dates, links, registration, etc., for exactly how you can get started. Vardhan, please take it away.
Thank you, Jyoti. I think you did a great job of hyping everyone up for the hack period, which is about to follow following weeks. I'll just quickly go about all the important dates, all the details which you all need to keep in mind during this hack period. So moving on to the first step, that is the team formation. So the team size, as I've already mentioned in the Discord as well, ranges from 1 to 6 participants. Solo participation is allowed, but we would always encourage team participation. Now, to facilitate with you forming the teams, we have team building events organized by the Womanium team on Zoom, as well as we have several Discord voice and chat channels available to you. So you can discuss it with your colleagues, discuss it with fellow participants on the various challenges that you like, on the various problems that you would like to solve, and build your perfect team over there. Some important dates which you need to keep in mind during the team formation challenge is July 29th, the team formation starts, and you can form your teams up to August 5. After August 5, you will not be allowed to fiddle around with your teams anymore, nor you will be allowed to change your challenges. Another date which you might want to keep in mind is July 31st, during which we will be organizing a Zoom meeting where you will have a chance to interact with fellow participants and form your teams live. The next step onto this hack period is the challenge and the team registration. Like I said, you can form your teams and choose your challenge only till August 5. So the deadline to register your team, your final team, and to register your final challenges is August 5. So you can go ahead onto this particular slide, browse through all the challenges which have been hosted on GitHub, and finally you will have to register using this particular Google form. Again, the deadline is August 5, so please keep that in mind. It is the last date for you to register your team as well as your challenge. During this hack period, QWorld has been generous enough to offer their services to us. So all the Womanium challenges, all the hackathon challenges will be hosted under the QWorld SDK. So that will actually enable you to use all the software packages, all the required tools, which have already been built in and provided by QWorld. One important point over here, QWorld use is completely optional. It's up to you. If you need to use another SDK for your comfortability, you are absolutely free to use that as well. Moving on to the next part, that is the hackathon kickoff. So once your teams have been formed, you have selected the challenges. We will be confirming the challenges with you. We will be confirming the teams with you. And on August 8th, the hackathon officially kicks off. So after August 8th, we have a 2 weeks hacking period where you will be allowed to do non-stop hacking, connect with your teammates as per your schedule, join the challenges as per your liking, and provide us with the best hack solution. So August 8th to August 23rd is the hacking period, during which you are expected to work on your solutions. After the hacking period concludes, we have the judging and the demo day. So August 23rd, like after the 2 weeks of hacking, you need to submit your solutions to the challenge repositories on GitHub. Challenge, once submitted, you need not work on that after August 23rd. So August 23rd is the deadline for you to submit your solutions for the hackathon challenges. August 24th, we are giving you 1 day to prepare your pitch deck, which will be viewed on August 25. And on August 25, after we view your pitch deck, your presentations, and we view your challenge solutions, we will be declaring the winner of all challenges over there as well. Yeah, so that makes it up for all the important deadlines. And now for some tips and tricks to actually win the hackathon. So I have been participating in hackathons for quite some time now. I have won over a dozen hackathons. So I think I'm comfortable enough to share some important tips which you might want to keep in mind during the hack period. The first one is that you need to network with your peers. And that's the most important thing which I feel during the hack period. You need to connect with your peers. You have to be as open as possible because the best idea comes from other participants. You need to keep that in mind. The second thing is you need to be open to all ideas. So brainstorming needs to be done in a collective manner. Organize meetings at your own schedule with your fellow participants, with your prospective teammates, and brainstorm together. Okay, please be open to all ideas. Please make everyone comfortable with your ideas. So that's one point where your team building skills will be put to use. One difficulty which I faced personally during like the previous hackathons I participated in was the time limit. So yeah, I have participated in a few hours hackathon. I participated in a couple of days hackathon. So during those times, I felt that proper research work could not be done during the short periods. So that is why Womanium is giving you plenty of time, like 2 weeks is a lot of time to participate in a hackathon. And so during this time, I would advise all of you to separate out a couple of days right at the very beginning to do the spade work for your challenges. Okay, so go through all the research papers you can find related to the challenge, go through all the tutorials, find the perfect blog, you find the perfect research paper on which you want to base your solution on. So do the spade work, do the research work to at least make sure that your solution is valid. That is very important. And finally, have fun. Like hackathons are the final step of this Womanium event. So all that you have learned during the past couple of weeks will be put to test over here. So have fun, keep hacking, have a great time during the next few weeks. So all that I have discussed till now has been presented on this particular slide, all the important dates or the complete timeline of the hack period. You can take a screenshot of the screen to help you remember better, although we will be sharing the complete slide deck with you soon over Discord. But yeah, these are the important dates which you need to keep in mind during the hackathon. And finally, please spread the word, right? So we are open to external registrations as well. So if you feel that any participants, any of your friends who missed the chance to register for the Womanium event, but are comfortable with quantum programming, they are free to join the hackathon. Spread the word. You can log into this particular website, which has been shown on the screen, womanium.org/WAC. So you can go over there, register your friends, register fellow participants, which might have missed the Womanium registration. So we are open to new registrations as well. And with that, I would like to end today's sessions. So yeah, it's Q&A time. Any questions, feel free to ask them. We are here to support you.
And really quick, excuse me, before we dive into Q&A, I would just like to point out the links that you should be clicking on from the slide deck. One is the Womanium GitHub, which will be linked in the presentation. The second is, of course, the registration form. Geez, where did it go? Okay. So this slide deck is very, very important. Those two are just, what you should be looking for once you have access to the slide deck. But yeah, other than that, Q&A.
So you should be able to unmute yourself. So please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask your questions. Right.
Right. It's Amir Ali. So quick question I have is regarding the Quantinuum's challenge, the QNLP one. So I was reading through the PDF, and sorry if I asked the question in a naive way, but what is the exact challenge that Quantinuum is asking in the QNLP format? It says that to implement a new sort of compositional model, but is it just to write that, or is it that you have a use case and you design a whole pipeline model for that? In short, what is the challenge in short?
There is the short description available. I'm sure you already read that one. In addition, there is a full description, several pages. If you check out that one, it should give you the full insight.
I think I read that one, Ms. Marlowe. It's, I think, the one that is on the GitHub page, the one that's that is, I think, by Yes, by Rich Young. So it basically goes on, and then at the end, after it explains the pipeline, it says to where is it? Yes. So it says to basically implement new readers or implement a new rewrite rule or play around with the NSATs model. So
yes,
is it just that?
As this question is very specific, we will soon open the challenge-specific channels on Discord, and there also the mentors from the companies will join. So if you need any very specific clarification, you can get it from them. But great that you already checked it out. There is another question from Antonio David. Is there a prize for the best solution of each challenge separately?
Right. Oh yeah, go ahead, Prachi.
Yes, we have not decided on it, but yes, our intention is that each challenge will have its own prize. Actually, I see another great question, which is on Discord, is what does the scoring rubric look like?
Yeah, so each challenge has got its own specific scoring rubric and the judging criteria, which has been hosted in the challenge description as well. If you do not find in a particular case that the judging criteria has not been mentioned, it basically means that the best hack solution wins. So whoever's solution is like the best in terms of maybe the business idea or maybe in terms of how viable that solution is to produce on during a quantum machine, or maybe it's the most technical one, that one. Otherwise, I think most of the challenge descriptions do have their own specific judging criteria.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Please, one question. Abd Ali from Tunisia. Please, how do we form the team for such a hackathon challenge? Do I have to choose from the Discord channel or elsewhere? I didn't understand how to form this team for the hackathon challenge.
Okay, so you are free to form your teams on your own. We will not be forming your teams. It's up to you to form your teams, find participants who are interested in the same idea to work with you. For that, we will be hosting some team building events on Zoom. So join during that event. We will be having breakout rooms where you can actively participate and connect with the fellow participants. So yeah, the team formation is completely up to you. You can use either the Zoom or meetings which we will be organizing, or you can use the Discord chat.
Okay, thank you.
Another question from Victor Brower is, what is the format to present the results? So Victor, is that related to the demo day? And are you is your question about what we do on the demo day?
Overall, each separate challenge can have a different format in which it needs to be presented. For example, one challenge, the one you saw on the slide by Herman Kolden, asks for PowerPoint slides and in addition, a Jupyter notebook. Then another challenge, more business and entrepreneurship oriented, asks for a pitch deck for investors. And if you read the full descriptions, you will see that different types of output are defined for the solution itself, which will be submitted on August 23rd, as Vardan explained. Then 2 days later, there will be a demo day where the solutions will be pitched, and those will be short presentations.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Zeynep from Turkey. This is my first hackathon, so I'm quite excited. Excuse me if this is just like a general hackathon question, but like, anyway, can there be multiple groups working on the same challenge? Like, I guess it depends on the amount of people that will, join the hackathon, but like, yeah. Can there be multiple groups working with like different solutions for the same challenge?
Of course. Yes. Go ahead, Jyoti. Yeah, certainly we want you to, we expect more participants. In fact, please include your friends and have them join the hackathon too. This is a really fun hackathon. We expect at least 5 to 10 teams per challenge and through this hackathon, maybe less, but at least, yeah, a few number of teams per challenge that will work on each challenge, of course. So think of the team size, just for you individually, think of your team size, 1 to 6 team members, and figure out who you want to be your team members and what challenge you want to take.
Okay, thank you.
And one question I can answer maybe before it gets asked is, yes, multiple teams are working on, any given challenge. And also the expectation is that, as Vardhan was saying, we want to provide that 2-week period for you to be able to truly focus on one challenge and create a really awesome solution.
Vardhan, can you comment? What is the recommended team size?
So as the team size suggested, from 1 to 6 participants, like the most ideal one would obviously be 6, because that would actually help you divide the task. 2 weeks are a lot of time, right? And you need to build up a good solution for the hackathon. So more the people, the merrier. But that said, you should include the best people on your team, like the more ones you're most comfortable with. So the team size, again, are absolutely up to you, but more the participants, more the workload gets divided, easier it is to build the solutions.
And this line of tips and tricks, in Discord, I think we will drop a quick post about and just ideas of how to structure your team as well. So as Vardhan is saying, 2 weeks is quite a long period of time, and it is critical not only to have technical folks that are working on the actual implementation and solution, but also somebody who is kind of structuring how you guys will be splitting the time and basically project management, essentially. Someone, if you're working on a business case, having a couple of folks that are good with design elements for your pitch deck and structuring that pitch deck and submission. So there are other to play in a hackathon team apart from being the coder, and I just want to kind of highlight that.
Yeah.
There are several questions. Can an individual work on multiple projects?
Yeah, you are actually free to work on multiple projects, but I would personally not advise you to do so, because it's better to focus on one challenge and try winning that particular challenge instead of focusing on multiple things during the same time and watch your solutions for both of them. So if you are comfortable working on multiple challenges, go ahead, but try focusing on at least one major challenge, which you at least have a chance of at least winning, right?
And all these challenges are real-world challenges. They are actual problems that the companies work on. It means that as a starter, you joined this course for the first time, you learned quantum programming. It means you can solve the first part of it. It also means the people in the company, they are not even able to solve the very end of the challenge. That is what their job is. So you can make the challenge as big as you want and bring your most amazing solution and have them hire you right away. So they are for all levels and you can extend it infinitely. Yeah, for Louis,
the question.
Some are unsolved problems or can be taken towards that.
Yeah, and another question from Juliana is, does the QWorld platform provide access to computational resources? Maybe talk a bit more on QWorld.
Right, so QWorld will be the,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so QWorld will be sponsoring like the SDK.
Please, hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Vardhan. You're just speaking. Just give us a minute and then we can hear your question.
Yeah, so I was saying that QWorld will be officially like sponsoring the SDK. It will have all the computational packages, all the required libraries pre-installed to you. So it will be better to work over there, but at the end, you are free to choose your own SDK and your own platforms as per your comfortability.
Nasser, you have a question?
Yes, Nasser from Algeria. About the registration process, do we have to register with the common form for the whole team, or does each member fill out the form individually, and then we just say which team we're part of?
This is a very important question. We ask everyone to fill it out individually, and then indicate your team name and also indicate the members of your team. But everyone, please fill out the form yourself so we can be sure of your challenge and team.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Hi. I want to ask one question. How would you suggest we should choose the team? It should be like multiple people from different domains or from the same domain, because there's not the questions or the hackathon is not just revealed. So on which basis we need to choose our teams? Any suggestion?
What do you mean by different domains? Do you mean like different technical backgrounds?
Yeah, like some from computational side, some from that, or mixed domain. Because there are multiple people from different sides over here.
Right. I think that the number one determining factor for team formation would be interest in not only like the same challenges, but also maybe in like approaches to tackle the challenge. And I think that will maybe help determine the composition in terms of like how many folks have a physics or CS or chemistry background. I think it's also specific to the challenge. So for the quantum chemistry challenge, I'm assuming there's going to be more chemistry folks involved there. And so, yeah, I would say the challenge, figure out individually what challenges excite you the most, and then look for people who are excited by the same, like, I don't know, top 3, top 2, or the challenge. And then also, use Discord as a space to discuss maybe general approaches, and that might be a bond that also leads to a team formation. Other than that, it's also just, this is an opportunity for you to work with folks in the program that you maybe have met and want to collaborate with and get to know better. So there's that as well. Further on any questions?
Just my last question, please. Hello?
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Please, could you say what are the challenges, or could you share these slides, please?
Yes, they are shared already. So if you go to the Discord channel, you should be able to find the link to all the challenges.
Could you show on the Discord also the hackathon channels, Jyoti?
Yes. Give me one sec here.
Right now, these are information channels, but soon text channels per challenge will be added. So then if you have a specific preference, you can chat there to find other team members and also ask questions to mentors.
Oops.
Yes, so as Josie is showing, that Discord channel, now that's the place to go for hackathons. We do have an amazing week of programming next week, so keep your focus on the sessions, the lectures, the talks, the quizzes. But of course, at the back of your head, start thinking of the hackathon. And yeah, that's a new Discord channel that you could look.
And as Abba and Gukson pointed out, this will be a great learning opportunity, a great learning experience. There are some advanced challenges, but there are also some beginner intermediate level challenges where you are taken step by step from the very start. We will advise you on what are harder and what are easier challenges, so you can pick according to your level. And then this is the time to explore and learn new skills, apply your skills to these problems. It will be very exciting.
So as Jyoti is showing everyone, this is the form which you'll submit once you have figured out your team.
And just to reiterate, every team member does need to fill out the form. And then here is where you will indicate who else is in your team. We have challenge preferences, topic, and this is for if you're proposing your challenge for that Womanium specific challenge.
The companies are also very enthusiastic themselves. On August 8th, that will be the kickoff. Then all company representatives, all mentors will be there, and we will go into breakout rooms for the different challenges, and they will be there to present the challenge to you and for you to ask all your questions. So what the course of action will be, you will sign up until August 5th. Then in the weekend, the hackathon team will review your preferences and will review, for example, if you post a challenge yourself for the Womanium Open Quantum and Entrepreneurship channel, or for the QWorld challenge, where you can develop an own educational module. So we will check, is the distribution of challenges good? Are the proposed challenges good? And then on Sunday, you will get a confirmation, yes, you can do your challenge. And the next day, join the Zoom. The companies will be there, and you can ask all your questions about the challenge to get started. During the 2 weeks, they will also be available on Discord to advise on pressing questions. And then on 25th, the demo day, they will be there to judge the challenges and appoint the winner per challenge.
Yeah, thank you, Marlu. And to kind of zoom out from what Marlu is saying, that means you have the opportunity to establish a connection, right, with the mentors and representatives from these companies. And so definitely take advantage of all those opportunities where they will be present to interface with them, because they are the proposers of the challenge and they work on the cutting edge solutions, you know, in the corporate world. So definitely make sure to take advantage of that. Awesome. So I think we have a great framework set up now. Please add all your questions to the channel here, unless we have any more that people are wanting to ask live right now. Awesome. It would be really great if we can close out the live session or live session. If we could close out for the hackathon with just dropping in the chat one goal that you have for the hackathon for yourself, just for some motivation to create some focus, because it's not that far away. And then last thing I would like to also reiterate is that July 29th was the date that Pradhan shared. Team building starts now, so at this moment, please do start looking for your teams, and make sure you give yourself enough time to throw your intros in, to find a team, to start discussing your ideas, and get started on that process, because we still have a week of programming left, and it will go by like that when on August 5th this form will be due.
We would almost forget that we have 2 more exciting events coming up first. Would you like to tell us something, Prachi, about tomorrow and Monday?
Yeah, so coming up tomorrow, it's very important, and this is going to prep you for life. So I hope you all attend. How do you present yourself to, again, a company, an investor, a prospective employer, or if you want to start PhD program, even in academia? You need a few skills. Of course, you need to have the qualifications. And how do you present those qualifications? Typically, it's a resume or curriculum vitae. The CV is typically much longer. It's an academic CV, and it can be endless. The resume is typically 1 or 2 pages, and it's a snapshot of what you've done, what you've achieved. So to talk about both of those, we have Araceli. Araceli runs QWorld, which is she's a quantum scientist herself. She studied aerospace engineering, I believe, and she runs this program out of the UK, QWorld. So she's going to talk to us for the first hour on making sure your resumes and everything else and your CV, etc. It's all polished before you come before any employer. And the second, the really fun one would be, it's 12 o'clock. Then we'll have Alan Brody. Alan Brody is with Startup Palooza. It's a New York-based organization that and what the organization does and focuses on is preparing entrepreneurs for their entrepreneurial journey. Why am I doing this session with all of you? Is one thing that an entrepreneur does that's very important is present and pitch their company. How do you speak with conviction about your ideas? How do you make it clear and make sure any technical or business content comes across clearly? That's what Alan does. And for all of you, this is also very important because when you meet before employers, they want to understand and see your soft skills. Now, most people actually make a decision whether to marry or not marry someone, or hire or not hire someone within the first few seconds itself of meeting them. So it's not about what you're going to say for the next 1 hour. It's what you're going to say and the confidence, the energy, your body language, all of that in the first few seconds is very important. So Alan Brody is going to talk about your 1 minute pitch. So come ready to unmute yourself. Think of your 1 minute pitch. Again, this is a pitch of how you introduce yourselves. Hello, my name is X. This is what I do. This is what I've achieved. And this is what I'm interested in. This is my template of a 1 minute pitch. Let's say what Alan says tomorrow. But think of how you would present yourself. Imagine you only have 1 minute to introduce yourself and make that good first impression. So think of that, and Alan will share more tomorrow. And all this, again, is preparation for life for you. Some of you will also be part of the career fair on Monday, and then we have a career fair later in August. So for both of that, too, it's very important to have a very polished resume and CV, and very important to have your 1 minute pitch before you speak to any recruiter to talk about yourself. So come ready. Again, it's going to be workshop style. It's not a talk. It's a workshop style. It's a bring your resumes, bring your pitches, and both of these individuals will help you polish it. Yes, so talking of companies, I know a lot of you are already thinking of next steps. Where do I go from here? We have some amazing companies that will be on Monday. Maybe Malu, if you want to take over describing the companies.
Yes, I was busy on the Discord answering questions. Indeed, the session on Saturday will prep you for the career fair on Monday. There will be breakout rooms with various companies in the quantum computing hardware, software, and quantum consulting and beyond focus that you can interact with. Some of them you have already seen. For example, Quix Quantum. We had a fantastic lab tour yesterday, and on Monday you can get in touch to get employed there. Blueforce. Blueforce headquarters is in Europe, in Finland, but they are currently expanding to the US and also elsewhere. So this is a very good global opportunity. Several other companies, IQM in superconducting qubits, Riverlane, more focused on software, Quantum Brilliance, we have had them on Monday to talk about the NV centers in Diamond. This is your opportunity to chat more with them and see how you can join the company. Pascal will be there. Deloitte, read the Deloitte Hackathon Challenge, very amazing, and it will give you a picture of what kind of things Deloitte is doing and beyond. QWorld, TechBit, ORCA Computing, we have had them in our program before, photonic quantum computing, and now they will join for the career fair. An exciting day where you can show your skills and what you want. And it will be 1 out of 2 career fairs. At the very end of the program, August 26th, we have another one with other companies. Present your best self on Monday, and then again, your best self at the end of the program, August 26th. We will watch some more questions coming in from the Discord. Everyone in the program is already enrolled in the hackathon. The only thing you need to fill out is the team and challenge form, where you say with whom you want to participate and what your challenge preferences are. External participants first need to fill out the form on the website, And then you can team up with them as well.
Really quickly, I will be dropping a template into the Team Formation Hackathon channel on Discord, just so that it's easier for folks who are skimming the chat to look at the relevant information. There's a lot of you, and this chat is going to become quite active, hopefully, as all of you are trying to find teams. So I will be dropping that in like the next minute here. If anybody has a radically superior template, please do suggest. Otherwise, it would be great if we can all kind of stick to this. It's just essentially going to be name, professional level, skills, and challenges interested as an initial drop, and further discussion is of course free for all.
Yeah, this is very exciting. So from now, we invite you to stay on the Discord voice channels after each session to network further, find your teammates, find your perfect team for the Hackathon Challenge. As Vardaan advised, more people is more different perspectives, more time, more skills. So we really encourage you to form teams and not just sign up by yourself or two, but form a team of 4 people, maybe even 5 or 6. And maybe it will be the team of your startup after the hackathon. Antonia asks, can we make half of our group to work on one challenge and the other half in another and manage it as we want? As the challenges can grow quite big, or at least if you want to win the challenge, it will be advanced, we advise you to focus on one challenge. And in any case, advise on one challenge first. If you are that good and you finish it and you found the winning solution, you could decide to work on another one, but we really invite you to focus on one challenge and hone in your skills towards these employers. Laurens asks, what if you do not manage to find a suitable team? There is almost a full week left to, actually exactly a full week to find a team. So we are sure everyone will be able to find a team together. Exploit the Discord, the voice channels, stay on the Zoom afterwards. Make clear that you are there. For example, on Sunday, the happy hour, everyone will be able to unmute themselves. So do it. Say who you are. You will have practiced your pitch on Saturday. So use your pitch towards other participants and show who you are, what your interests are, and what you want to do for the challenge. Siddharth, good question. Haven't used GitHub before. We will show some, we will give some links to get you started on GitHub.
GitHub is a platform everyone should know. They are, I think, the most established platform for storing code. So yeah, please have a look. And I'm glad you haven't used it. Well, now is the time, and I'm sure you'll use it in the future. So yeah, definitely, yeah, plan to be on it. I like also Paper Frog, your idea and the way you're thinking about this, which is establishing a portfolio for yourself. That's exactly the way to think about it. This is a portfolio for yourself, because in future programs as well, future employers you go to, this is exactly what you will share with an employer. You'll share your GitHub repo when they want to learn about your programming skills, your competence, and of course on your resume as well, that you're part of the program and you participated in a hackathon.
And for finding a team, put in that effort now. Don't wait until next week, Thursday, when it's almost done. Do it now. These are the typical things that if you are lazy now, don't do anything, you will have a lot more work in the future, because then you need to solve the challenge by yourself. Well, if you focus now, you network this weekend, you form your team of 6 people, you will have a much better time, also much more fun time. So we encourage you to do that from now on, right away.
It's like playing those games as children, right? And then you have 2 teams, and then the best kids always get picked first to be in the team. So make sure you pick the best people that you want on your team right now.
But we also encourage the teams to be mixed. Advanced participants can teach a lot to more new participants who can give their views. And feel free to compose the teams as you like, have a good match. Maybe you want to work in person at the same time or virtually at the same time. You want to be in the same time zone. Maybe you want different backgrounds, physics, computer science. Most important is being interested and focus on and work on it in that period of 2 weeks.
So time zones, really quick interjection here, they can be very difficult to deal with in a hackathon team, which is why that is something that I would please love for all of you to include in your intros. Just if you guys are in somewhat of a similar time zone, it will make your lives easier. If not, you know, you feel the hackathon vibes, staying up at odd hours. So try to be in the same time zone, but if that ends up not being the case, it will still work out too, not the end of the world. I have been in a couple teams where that has been the case, and it's a crunch, but it's doable. So yeah, the template is been shared. If there's anything critical that needs to be added here, you know, just reply to it, and I can edit it. But yeah, this is really exciting, and good luck with all the team finding. I can see people are already, you know, DMing, and the process has started. So if this activity doesn't convince you to get started now, then don't know what will.
And perhaps our team is an example. We have many different time zones, from the West in the US to the East in the US to Europe to India. The reason it works is communication. A few people in our team are responsible for the communication to make that go well. And we appointed the right time slots to always get together and organize in the meantime what everyone needs to work on. And then it works. So same time zone, beyond time zones, manage it well, and then you will make it work with your team. Great activity. We will stay on for a little bit, but feel free to leave the session if everything is clear to you and you just want to read the challenges and network. Please join the Discord voice channels. That is more important at this moment, to network with each other. And then we will also be back tomorrow after the career pitch session to answer more of your questions. That's kind, Sarah. We have really been doing our best to expose you not only to software and not only to hardware, but all of it, and put your skills into practice in this hackathon. And the skills that you want to put into practice with a topic you like. So we hope that the people who like quantum natural language processing, that they can jump on that topic. Or if you want to have more of a business view, take the Deloitte challenge or an entrepreneurial Womanium challenge. We really look forward to your solutions, your input, your presentations on the demo day. This will be wonderful to hear from all of you and see all those creative solutions that we couldn't even have thought of right now.
Quick question, Miss Marlo. So imagine that for one of the challenges, we join a group, and we want to also, like, just for like a learning experience, we want to like solo another challenge as well. Is that possible? Like we could do 2 challenges at once, one with a team, one on basically one on your own?
If you arrange that with your team and you have still the full team effort that is expected in your team, then we don't inhibit you to work on other interesting topics. But the team challenge should have the focus, and that is what you go for as a team, and leverage your team to new levels and win the challenge.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
As Jyoti pointed out earlier, we have sponsorships from various companies totaling more than $10,000 for all challenges together. these will be distributed in a fair way. For example, there is a QWorld challenge on developing a quantum education hardware module. You might think, oh, let me pick the Deloitte challenge because QWorld is a non-profit, right? So I cannot win such a big prize. This is not true. We will give fair prizes for these great challenges as well. And we have many sponsors too who are not posing a hackathon challenge. For example, ORCA Computing, to highlight, they were here presenting earlier. Atlantic Quantum, a small startup in the Boston area, a spin-off from the William Oliver Lab, which you have all seen in the MIT lab tour. They just started and they were already enthusiastic and willing to sponsor us. Blue Force will have surprise packages to share with you. Oxford Quantum Circuits will give hardware time on their circuit for the winners as a prize for the hackathon. Strangeworks is sponsoring backstage passes, which also means hardware access, and several other companies sponsoring cash prizes to put into the pool of the hackathon prizes. So for each single challenge, you can look forward to an amazing prize for the winners. Jimp asks, can we team with a participant who is outside the Womanium program? The answer is yes. That participant can sign up on the webpage. It is womanium.org/WAC or /quantum/hackathon. There they can register. Note that some prior experience is required. All of you went through the Q-Bronze program, went through the Q-Silver program. So we expect external participants to have similar skills. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. You have worked so hard for it the past 3 weeks and the upcoming week, then your teammates need to have the same skills as well. So people with that experience can sign up externally and then they can also join your team. Russ from Womanium tells Sarah, you should join us after pointing out the effort. This won't be the last program that we are developing and hosting. If you are excited about the initiatives, send us an email if you want to be involved in developing next programs and what your skills in it are and how you would like to be involved. We would love to get in touch. We will mainly get it started after the program. You are all busy. We are all busy with organizing. It will be great to hear your interest and involvement. Jyoti, thank you very much for introducing the hackathon, in which you have done such an amazing job in organizing.
Thank you so much, Marlu. I will be dropping now, everyone, but the one thing I just want to say is, for me, hackathons have been really, really critical in helping me finding my niche in quantum. Quantum is quite a diverse field, as you all have been seeing, right? And Marlu was mentioning, the Womanium program has been trying its best to expose you to all the different aspects. But I think if it's a field that you see, you know, you're interested, and it might be a field that you stick with in terms of your career, I think really finding that niche, that specific thing, whether it's quantum chemistry or error correction or hardware, that keeps you up at night with questions that you want to research and innovate and answer is really important. And I think what Vedant said about networking with your peers really helps you find that and get to the bottom of that question in a way that you know, may not happen in other forms of engagement with quantum. So yeah, that's a goal that I think I saw someone mention in the Discord channel, and I was happy to see that, because that's a really valuable opportunity. But yeah, I'm really personally excited to see this come to life, and I'm very excited to see what you guys come up with.
Great to point out, GLT. We talked a lot about internships previously, also in the career panel, but this hackathon is a similar experience. Find what you're interested in, develop your team working skills, and be in touch with company mentors. So you can interpret this as a short internship in which you can network, have a team, be with the companies, and show your skills. Russ, I see your video up too. Would you like to add something to today's session?
It is great that you are finishing one segment of the quantum computing program, the training part, and now you're entering the application part. The goal of learning any new skill, especially in an applied field like quantum computation, science, etc., is to apply it. And the hackathon allows you to apply it and solve real-world challenges and problems provided by real companies. So these are companies which are actually working on these problems, and they're giving some of those problems to you to solve, to demonstrate the skills that you have learned, and also your skills of creativity and the ability to apply it to solve real-world problems. And this will also allow you to showcase your abilities and skills going forward in your life. It doesn't matter which path you take. These skills will always aid you and guide you. So that is why actively participate in the program. And coming soon will be the career fairs, which is going to be another round of exciting companies who will want to know what you're capable of doing. And this is your opportunity to show them what you're capable of doing. So good luck.
Fantastic. With that, we will conclude this session. We look forward to all the activity on Discord, and we'll see everyone tomorrow in the Pitch Ready session. Have a great day, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.